Hello, welcome back. I hope you're doing very well. Just a short tutorial today. I'm going to show you a little trick I've found for making quite interesting rhythmic kind of variations or texture to a sample using sample offset based on velocity. And if that doesn't make any sense, don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So I've got a drum track here with one sample on one pad. Just a vocal sample, it's about 5 seconds long. So what we're going to do, the first step to this is to go into the track edit menu, and we're going to go to modulation, and you'll see here on the left hand side we have velocity, sensitivity, then a bunch of parameters, and what all of these do is they allow you to modulate or change various parameters based on how hard the pad is hit or what the note velocity is. And you can see here one is sample start, and it goes from 0 up to 127. Now what that does is when you turn it up like this, it means that depending on how hard you hit the pad, the sample will start playing from a slightly different point. It'll have a different offset. So we've turned it all the way up to the top. So we're going to get the maximum amount of change as we hit this note at various different velocities. So that's the first stage. We've done that. Now we're going to go to the step sequencer. We've got a little 2-bar clip here. We're just going to put this note on every single pad at maximum velocity. So when we play this, it's not going to sound very good. That's obviously no use to anyone. So what we need to do is apply some velocity changes so that we get this sample offset happening. So we're going to go to clip. We're going to go to edit, this little screen up here, and humanize. Now we've got a bunch of options here. We don't want to humanize time or length, but we do want to humanize velocity. So we're going to turn that all the way to the top and press do it. And now you can see that it's applied some random changes to our note velocities. Now I can see here that some of these, it hasn't given us quite enough variation. So we're just going to chuck in a few variations, maybe bring some of these very low ones up slightly higher. So now you can see we've got all of these different note velocities, which means that our sample is going to play or start from a slightly different point every time. Still doesn't sound brilliant, so let's make these slightly closer together so we don't have such big variations. Okay, so we can hear straight away that we've got some modulation happening, but again it doesn't sound quite right because the volumes are all over the place. So there's a few things we can do here. We could obviously go into the pad mixer and adjust all of those individually, but just to save some time we're going to stick a compressor on here. You can see we've already flattened things out a little bit. The one that tends to work quite nicely is instrument and flatten. So you can hear that it's flattened out the peaks and the troughs, so we're getting the modulation but the volume is more similar. The next thing we're going to do is we've got some on there already. Put some reverb send on it. And I found that with this kind of choppy rhythmic effect, the filter gate works really nicely. So you can see here we've got a nice rhythmic choppy thing here. This one's called Clockwork. Obviously you can mess around with the parameters a bit to get one that sounds as you want it to. And then the last thing we're going to do is go down to modulation, and we're going to go to auto pan sync, which is going to move these notes or these bits of audio left and right. Because it's sync, it will do it in time with the project tempo. Now we can see we've got quite a nice rhythmic, interesting effect going on here. And if we bring in some drums, you can see how it fits together with some other instruments as well. So that's just a little tip really, how to introduce some interesting movement into a sample. I've done it on a vocal. You can obviously do it on any kind of audio sample really. It tends to work nicely with things that have slow progression, so chord progressions and pads and vocals, so that the fact that the sample start is moving around, if you do that with a drum loop, for example, it will sound out of time because you're not going on the beat. So samples that aren't tempo dependent tend to work best with this technique. But anyway, that's something I quite like messing around with. Obviously there's a bunch of different effects you can apply to it, but it's quite an interesting little technique just to add a bit of movement to a sample track. Hope that was useful, and as ever, thanks for watching. Cheers, bye.